Hello, educators. Welcome to the Writers Workshop. And if you're returning, welcome back. These tutorials I offer as ways to create more choice and voice in your writing curriculum. My name is Dr. Sarah Donovan. I'm an assistant professor at Oklahoma State University. I was a secondary classroom teacher for almost 20 years and a teacher educator now for over a decade. And I'm here to offer resources and experiences from my classroom to support you. If you've never had a teaching writing course in your teacher preparation program, or if you're an emergency or alternate certified teacher who's trying to help us respond to the nationwide teacher shortage. So I'm here for you to offer these to adapt and use as you see fit. These writer workshop videos are across several different topics, so I hope that you'll check them out and let me know how they work for you. Today's tutorial is about choosing how and why when it comes to writing. And this has a lot to do with mode and genre, which I talk about in the Gathering Ideas video. So choosing how and why to write is a really important piece of offering students space to make these kinds of decisions in your classroom. So here's a few ways to get started. Now, if we think about the video about gathering ideas, whether it comes from the writing that you do at the beginning of class or the heart map activity that you did with your students, circling back to those topics to help them make decisions about mode and genre is a really important step. So for example, you took this time to create a heart map about the places and people and experiences that are important to you and that you could write about. I did the same. Here's my heart map. So now we have these ideas, but how do we begin to write and what do we write? So it's really important at this point to show students that they have lots of different choices, which can be a little overwhelming, but typically students just start telling, right? They just start, really without any sort of structure or composition, they just are kind of just telling you about it. In this way, we want them to think about that they can make some other decisions. So for example, let's just choose Twizzlers. One of my obsessions is Twizzlers. Now, I hesitate to tell students this because I'm sort of addicted to Twizzlers, which is why I don't eat them because I can't just have one. I have to eat the whole bag. And then sure enough, I tell students and what happens? You're right. They bring me Twizzlers, which I of course eat, but I try to invite them to help me eat it too. So here's this thing. I have stories about Twizzlers. Now, I can use Twizzlers in a lot of different ways to write stories, which you may not have realized. So if we look at this chart here, we can see there's choices that we can make about literary genre. Can I write a science fiction story about Twizzlers? Yeah, you bet I can. I could probably make up what happens when I eat an entire bag, a pound of Twizzlers in my gut, and maybe invent this a little bit. I can kind of look up some stuff about Twizzlers and what they're made of and sort of what happens, or Twizzlers in the future. Oh, let's see, Twizzlers on a different planet. I don't know. Mystery, who took the Twizzlers? Fantasy, maybe the Twizzlers have magic or come alive or something. I don't know. Memoir, I can tell the story of how I met Twizzlers and how I became addicted to Twizzlers. Historical fiction, maybe I can go back in time and maybe write something about whoever invented the Twizzlers. I don't know, something there. Informational text structures, I can talk about Twizzlers in a lot of different ways. How to eat Twizzlers, how not to eat Twizzlers, the cause and effect of eating too many Twizzlers, the problem and solution of Twizzlers, comparing and contrasting Twizzlers to Skittles, describing the Twizzlers and the cherry, sticky, waxy texture, right? Then there's genre. I can write a letter to the Twizzler inventor, a letter to Twizzlers, a letter to the student who keeps buying me Twizzlers, even though they know I'm addicted. A TikTok video about Twizzlers, Instagram pics of people eating Twizzlers, where you eat Twizzlers, a YouTube video about, I don't know, any of those how-tos, right? An op-ed piece about candy addiction, who knows? I can also think about poetry. I could write a free verse poem about poetry, an ode to Twizzlers, an elegy of Twizzlers if they went away for good, a haiku, a sonnet. So lots of different ways I can approach the Twizzler. And I think it's important for you as a teacher to kind of model this process with your student as we do with other things. So again, teacher does talk to your students about your own heart map, your own topics, your ideas, and how you want these to live in the world. So I'm going to just share with you a little poem about my Twizzler. So I wrote a Twizzler breakup poem. And this, you can bet, after I shared this with students, that they all wanted to write a breakup poem, a breakup with a person, a breakup with a bad habit, a breakup with something that they are sort of addicted to. I'm not saying nothing about cell phones, really. Any of these kinds of things, you see that once the students notice that I can write something, the teacher can write something that's not maybe a typical formulaic sort of essay, they can see how the writing lives in the world. So here's my Twizzler poem. There was a time when I was far from home, and I needed your comfort during the long drives to work and lonely lunches, for I knew no one and no one knew me. But you were familiar, a bit of home that I could carry with me. You with your bright red twists, you with your fat-free, eat as much as you want, 1 pound packaging, you with your chewy cherry luster. Alas, you became my addiction, an escape from my homesickness. I did quite literally carry you in my waistline, but your packaging sealed me off, an invisible wall between me and my new world. I had to quit you cold, vegan turkey. Now, some time has passed, and I have returned home to my friends and family. I still have long drives and eat long lunches, lunch alone, though I am not lonely. Sometimes I wonder if you and I, if we can give it another go. But alas, dear Twizzlers, your twists no longer have that luster. I find comfort in words, comfort here in this poem. So I want to just point out a few things here, and you might notice them as well with your students if you wanted to share this poem, which you can. I'm talking directly to the Twizzlers, so it's direct address, right? This is something that writers do, talking directly to their topic, to their subject matter, right? And I have use of dashes here, which is kind of a punctuation pause kind of thing that I've used a couple different places to show a break and a kind of a shift in my thinking. I also have stanzas that kind of move the story through different time periods. And I have some humor a little, I'm trying to be a little funny, I guess, maybe not so much. And here you can just see also the hyphens. I'm using them to make up new words or make up words like eat as much as you want, that kind of thing. So helping your students see you engaging with the way that things from your heart start to take shape in different genres and forms shows the students that they have ways and places that they can make decisions about the purpose of their writing, which is really the key. We want students to write a variety and for different purposes, in different modes, and in different forms. So create some time for your students to write after you share your own. That could be in their notebooks or in a shared Google Doc. And then again, have them add that to their table of contents in their notebook. So they're seeing all the different writing that they're doing and creating a nice portfolio of their choice, of their voice, of their lives, of their topics of interest. And again, every one of your students will have a very different table of contents because they're writing about their own lives, which makes your classroom way more interesting as people are sharing, and it allows your students to be experts in their topic. So students are experts in their topic, they learn from one another, and then you just support them in their process and choices. So thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. Please reach out if you have any questions or want to talk about adapting these for your classes. I'm happy to meet with you over Zoom or to meet with your department, and I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know.